This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Hello, football fans, and welcome to the Onside Kick. My name is Ricky Widmer, and I'm joined, as always, by the Mark Weber.
Dub them E's.
And you know what, today, Mark? Not really a lot going on in the NFL world.
Nothing
right
too
now.
exciting. No, not at all.
I mean, Joe Horn, ex-Saint, called Goodell the devil. I read an article on sportingnews.com that Adrian Peterson could retire if he doesn't get traded. But other than that, nothing newsworthy, right?
No, I mean, Ray McDonald continues to not be a good person.
Hey, Kyle Long said good riddance, so I'm going to go with Kyle Long.
I mean, yeah, sure. Kyle Long likes to tweet a lot. As Bears fans, sometimes that worries me. Sometimes I'm okay with it. Depends a little bit. But yeah, really nothing special.
So here's what we decided to do for today to get you guys going, getting ready for the upcoming football season. We're taking all 32 starting quarterbacks at this point in time. Could change. We got some rookies that are coming in. They're listed as starters. They may not be starters when we get to week 1. However, they're starters now. All 32 of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL, we're ranking them 1 through 32. We're going to start with 32 through 26. And I'm just going to rattle off. We're going to talk about it. Geno Smith, he's in the cellar.
Yeah, he's the worst.
31's RG3. Then Bradford, Bortles, Mariota, Derek Carr, and Brian Hoyer.
Mm-hmm. And you might be sitting there going, yeah, these are guys I don't care about. And that's pretty much what it comes down to in the NFL. I think we do have to make special note. We talked about the RG3 versus Geno Smith debate.
Well, I mean,
which one is the worst?
RG3's been injured a lot.
He has.
But you made a good point. Geno Smith is bad when he's healthy.
Exactly. And that's what it came down to for me. At least RG3, if he could possibly be healthy, there's at least a glimmer of hope.
Well, if he's not doing the stanky leg. To me, the bigger kind of stretch in this was Carr, Mariota, and Bortles. Because I kind of wanted to put Mariota as the top, and then I'm like, nah, Derek Carr is pretty good. And then, like you said, you're like, I gotta do a comparison between Bortles and Carr.
Yeah, and when it comes to Bortles and Carr, man, did Bortles throw a lot of interceptions and
he also did play in Jacksonville.
Yeah, and that's an abysmal place to play. It really is. But you gotta, I mean, at least don't throw so many interceptions. At least, throw a few more touchdowns, maybe. Even if you don't throw very many touchdowns, just don't throw those interceptions, please. Yeah, so for that one, I mean, that's why Derek Carr goes on top and why Bortles is on the bottom of this list.
So let's go to 25 through 21. Starting at 25, Matt Castle, my boy Teddy Bridgewater, 24, Josh McCown, 23, Nick Foles at 22, and our second rookie at 21, Jameis Winston.
So Winston kind of gets some default here because as the number one quarterback taken, he does have a lot of expectations around him. Yeah, he could have some Bortles moments of
a lot of interceptions
at the bottom of this next year.
A lot of interceptions.
Yeah, he
too.
also, of course, would have the opportunity to be a little, not Andrew Luck, but a little more Andrew Luck.
My big thing, though, is we've got Nick Foles at 22, who, Mark, you were saying we got to put him tied for number 2 with a quarterback we're going to get to later because they're one and the same.
Exactly. He really needs to be a lot higher. He's getting a bit of a mockery.
He's got to be a top 5 quarterback.
I mean, he ties records. So, but yeah, I think there was one thing where we did say about Nick Foles. This is the thing I think about Nick Foles and why I think he is where he's at.
And let's throw in who's at 20 just to get for this argument. Jay Cutler's at 20.
Yeah.
Now get into the argument because now we can really get in. Because I wanted to put Foles over Jay Cutler.
You did, and I understand why you want to do that.
Jay Cutler's a piece of shit.
Well, they're not that. I understand why you want to do it because Nick Foles has that
so much
one
potential.
Great season.
So much more potential than Jay Cutler.
Well, yeah, because one of them is like 32 years old and the other one's like 26.
And also Jay Cutler's a POS.
And it's better to have a 26-year-old quarterback than a 32 quarterback. I mean, that's just math right there. You know that right there.
It's better to have a quarterback who cares about the game of football, cares about how your team does,
We need to just sign.
Isn't
hey,
a crybaby?
I'll edit this week's podcast. You don't have to worry about it. I got this one for you. People are going to wonder where Ricky went for the last 20 minutes. But here's the thing. I think my one knock I have against Nick Foles, and I mean, he can't help this, but it's one good season with Chip Kelly, a mastermind of the offense, and then injury. And I don't want to discredit anybody because of injury.
See, and here's the thing.
It's just a limited amount of work.
Mark, I'm going to let you finish, but you can't say the I word when the other quarterback... But
you're getting caught up on that, though. You're getting caught up on the injury. I'm not talking about injuries. I'm talking about only one good season with a genius of an offensive coordinator.
Okay, Jay Cutler's had more seasons, but he's also had... If we kind of used math a little bit, I know you don't like math, Mark.
I'm not a mather.
But if we used math, if we put Nick Foles and said, okay, how many injuries would he have if he had the same career as Jay Cutler at this point? The math would say they'd be about the same, ratio-wise.
Sure, but like I'm saying, injuries is not what we're talking about.
I am. A little bit with Jay Cutler, it's because he always gets effing injured.
Okay, but what I'm saying here is you got to go off of the actual body of work more. Injury, yes, you can take it into consideration. But the body of work for Nick Foles is only one good season with an incredibly good offensive coordinator. I will get... And remember, Mark Sanchez looks good with Chip Kelly.
How many times has Jay Cutler thrown 7 touchdowns in a game?
That's true. How many times has any of these quarterbacks besides bar one quarterback in this entire list thrown 7 interceptions in a game?
Well, 7 touchdowns.
7 touchdowns.
7
interceptions, I think it's 0.
Matt Ryan and Drew Brees
they got
threw
5.
like 5.
And Rex Grossman's sneaking up in there. I'm coming back. I want to get on this list.
Matt Ryan,
I want to get ranked for something.
Matt Ryan is one of the few quarterbacks who can throw 5 interceptions in a game and still win.
Yeah, just to put the kibosh on this Nick Foles argument here, I just think the problem with Nick Foles is we don't know how much of that is Chip Kelly, who we all agree when he was coming in is a genius of the offensive system, and how much that was just getting the right person. Is that a Matt Castle situation with Belichick, or is it I'm trying to think of a good opposing option, a Drew Brees who can still be good wherever he goes. I'm going to throw this out there then.
If you're going to say, okay, what if Nick Foles, only reason he did good that season is because he had the mastermind of Chip Kelly. And I'm not saying you're wrong with that. Chip Kelly is a mastermind. However, Jay Cutler had an offensive quarterback whispering guru to work with. He did shit with that guy, but the high school coach can come in and do better than him.
The advantage with that, I will say, that McCown does very well with that type of system. It just was not a good fit for the two of them. And there's
You're talking about for Jay.
For Jay and Mark Trestman, apparently it was just a bad fit. And there's plenty of blame to go on Jay and plenty of blame to go on the ragtag group of coaches that was assembled. Let's remember, Mel Tucker. I know that's defense, but Mel Tucker was considered good enough to be a defensive coordinator.
But we're talking about offensive.
No, I'm just saying that puts the level of incompetence.
Also, let's put it this way. Nick Foles did what he did. Yeah, he had Jeremy Maclin, but he threw, I think, more passes to Riley Cooper and Jordan Matthews.
He made Riley Cooper look like a number 1 wide receiver.
Jay Cutler had arguably, at the time, 2 of the best wide receivers in the game.
For sure. But we gotta remember, too,
that at this time last year, Mark,
they had the number 2 scoring offense.
We were talking about Brandon Marshall and Alshon arguably being the best wide receiver tandem in the NFL.
We got to remember that the Nick Foles great season happened the same time that the Chicago Bears had the number 2 scoring offense. They had the second best offense in the NFL, only beaten by Peyton Manning in Denver. And we know the weapons that Peyton Manning had. So when we talk about that, I mean, I myself even was forgetting that. He had the second best offense. He did fine. I'm not saying that he's a top 10 quarterback. Where you have him at 20, right? 20? 20 is fine.
I would, if I really got my way, Mark.
You just don't like Jay Cutler's face.
Okay. If I really had my way, I would have Jay Cutler somewhere in the top 25, but not in the top 20.
And the thing with Jay Cutler, He throws too many interceptions. Nobody can argue that. He's got a pouty face. Nobody can argue that. His face is just not the face you want to look at.
No, he's not a leader either. That to me,
I think that one's a little meh.
Okay, a little bit of it.
He didn't have to be a leader on the team he came on.
With these, a little bit of it is if you look at, and without giving any away, I'm looking at our top 5, which we will get to. I'm looking right down 1 through 5. They're all Super Bowl winners. I'll give you that hint. And when they won Super Bowls, leader.
The one thing I will say in defense of Jay Cutler, because that's my job on this podcast, I'm the Chicago Bears fan.
You got to defend your guy.
Yeah, he's my quarterback, Ricky.
And I'm just going to tell it like he is, and he's a piece of shit.
But the thing about Jay Cutler is, when it comes down to it, all his players come to bat for him. Not a single guy in that team. Maybe you might want to make an argument of when...
So he doesn't rub guys the wrong way.
Yeah.
Who cares? Doesn't win football games.
Well,
got to the NFC title game once.
You had to win football games to do that, right? Boom! Lawyer!
What have you done for me lately, Mark?
That's true. What has that entire team done? But anyways, what I'm saying is he might not be a leader. He was never asked to be a leader until Mark Trestman came around, and that's not Jay Cutler. That's not what he's going to do, unfortunately. That's why he probably drafted David Fales, hoping that David Fales would become that in the next couple of years. But he was never asked to do that, but his teammates love the guy. They will go to bat for him. They will defend him no matter what.
Let's look at the next. Well, Cutler's at the end of this at 20. Let's go 20 to 16. Cutler's at 20. Carson Palmer's at 19, a guy who's bounced around from team to team in his career.
A real journeyman.
The Tannehills are at 18. Andy Dalton at 17. Superman Cam Newton at 16.
Yeah, Cam Newton, I think there was a tough debate between the two of us again, between Andy Dalton and Cam Newton. Which one of these guys is the better guy?
Number-wise, they're almost identical. I think the only difference from what I remember, Andy Dalton throws more INTs.
And I think Cam Newton just has the better talent.
He's an
him.
athlete.
He's a better player.
And you mean Dalton has the better athletes around him. The talent around him.
The talent around Dalton is better. The talent inside Cam Newton is better.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's Superman. But yeah, it's that kind of puts Cam Newton above the edge. We also got to think about when it comes to playoff games. Yeah, Andy Dalton's been to more, but he has not won a single one.
Cam Newton's at least won.
Yeah, at least Cam Newton has won a Super Bowl, a playoff game.
Don't get ahead of yourself, Mark.
Superman's winning Super Bowls like crazy out there. At least in my franchise.
To me, honestly, Carson Palmer for a body of work, probably should be a little bit higher on this list because when he was with Cincinnati, he wasn't no scrub. The Oakland black hole that he went to. Let's just disregard those years because Randy Moss went to Oakland and couldn't do anything. So that is kind of like, but if he didn't get injured last year, the Cardinals could have been an NFC Championship caliber team.
I agree with you with that. And actually, for a long time, people were saying the Cardinals were the team that had the opportunity to beat the Seattle Seahawks.
They were the team to beat for most of the year.
Yeah.
Then Palmer goes down. Stanton, I think, came in. Then Stanton gets injured. It's like, whoa, what's going on here?
And they were a team, too, that, let's not forget, they were actually winning with a third-string quarterback. And that's
until
impressive.
They got to the playoffs. And he crapped his pants because it's the playoffs.
Well, it's tough. But they did... Oh, no, they did lose that first game, didn't they? I was hoping. But, yeah, I mean...
They had a chance to be the number one overall team going into the playoffs, too.
They sure did, and that didn't work out for him. But Carson Palmer is one of those guys where you don't want to really look at the injuries and stuff because that's the only thing that mars him. Physical talent-wise, he has every ability to be like one of those 13-9 kind of guys, right? Kind of on the cusp of top 10 dumb.
If let's say he played all of last season and they go to the NFC title game last season, he's easily for me at 14. He's above Tannehill, Dalton, Newton, and then I'm going to go 15, 14, just reveal it, Cap and Smith.
Yeah, he would be. But unfortunately now we have the debate. We've kind of been bringing it up a little bit, but just to say the thing that we struggled with sometimes was the body of work versus next year. Because next year is what this is. Yeah. No, I'm saying next year.
Oh,
because we're talking about the best starting quarterbacks for 2015.
True.
So, because if you want best starting quarterbacks 2014, ESPN's got three lists for you.
I feel like some of the, when you think of best starting quarterbacks coming into a season, you have to think about the body of work at some point because there's some guys where it's like, okay, he's a multiple Super Bowl winner. He steps onto a football team and he immediately makes his team better just by being on the field.
Yes, and I agree. But with that being said, if we're purely going off a body of work, there's something about Carson Palmer that always goes wrong. Unfortunately.
And that's why he's at 19.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. That was one of your big arguments with Jay Cutler. Something always goes wrong with Jay Cutler.
And that's why I wouldn't put him in the top 20. But Mark, you were like, we got to put him in the top 20 because I'm a Chicago Bears fan.
He's a better talent than these scrubs down in the bottom. But yeah, it's interesting. Now, of course, trying to think, because I don't have the list in front of me. You got the list.
You want 15 through 11?
Well, is there anything else within this group?
Well, I mean, Tannehill at 18, should he be lower? That's the question here.
Yeah, Tannehill has he's got better numbers than a lot of these guys, and we had the discussion between Jay Cutler and Tannehill. Tannehill bumped Jay Cutler down, and he has better numbers than Jay Cutler does.
Tannehill hasn't been injured either.
He hasn't been injured yet. He hasn't really done anything exceptional, but
However,
he's just been
very
average and very competent.
And I mean, last year, this is my knock with the Dolphins last year. Tannehill had the potential to have something special, but when you got a guy like Noshawn Moreno go down and you lose that number one running back, and he was playing good early on in the season, that's taking a weapon away from your quarterback.
Yeah.
When your quarterback can't have a guy that consistently can just run the ball, it's like, well, great. Now when I pass, they're going to be waiting for it.
And I hate to say it too, and it's not like there's any good wide receivers out there, but I hate to say it too for the Dolphin
Mike Wallace
fans out
wasn't
there.
the worst.
Yeah, but he didn't do what he was expected to do.
But he was better than anybody on the Chiefs.
Well, when the option is nothing, it's pretty easy to be better. But yeah, the problem for the Dolphins, I'm sorry, Dolphin fans, but you guys need a new coaching staff. That's what it comes down to. Philbin is not a good
Is
head
Philbin
coach.
still there?
Yep, somehow. I mean, he's just very average is what it comes down to. And people kind of, obviously he came from Green Bay. We're very familiar with him in this room. But people kind of ignore the fact that Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers saves Mike McCarthy's job every season. Mike McCarthy is not that great of a head coach. He's got a Super Bowl ring, though. So does Aaron Rodgers. And that's what it comes down to. Aaron Rodgers has a Super Bowl ring. Mike McCarthy thanks Aaron Rodgers every morning
for his Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's just Philbin should not really, he probably shouldn't still have this job. But if Philbin didn't still have that job, would Tannehill still have his job? Because you might get some new guy who goes in there, he goes, yeah, he's average, but
he's not my guy.
Exactly. So Tannehill has a little bit to think for that. But I mean, he threw for 4,000 yards last season, 27 touchdowns.
Hey, that's a big reason why he got the huge contract that we talked about last week.
He's proving that he's got potential. Is he ever going to live up to that potential?
Hey, now that he has a defense on the other side of the ball that can get him back the ball.
Well, that's the thing. He doesn't have to be great. This team is finally playing well to what they have, which is Tannehill's never going to be Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, etc.
And this is
let's get something else.
This is a little off the topic a little bit from our ranking of these quarterbacks, but if I'm Ryan Tannehill, you know what I am so mad about right now?
What's that?
Why can't we have been the divisional team to play the Patriots one of the first 4 games? Because I feel like without Tom Brady, Dolphins could easily beat the Patriots.
I honestly think that the Dolphins can beat the Patriots with Tom Brady.
And I mean, if the Dolphins can snab a win early against the Patriots while Tom Brady was out, that would have been huge, especially later in the season.
The Dom can sue Cam Wake. That's all it takes. Tom Brady's on the ground. Boom, line those two up. One of them gets one man covering him.
You know what all I can think about? I think back to, I think it was last season when the Bears played the Dolphins, and it was Cameron Wake and whoever's on the other side. And the commentator is just drawing these arrows, how they just come off the side and just sandwich Jay Cutler
They're fast.
And force a fumble.
They're fast. And when you put, of course, Ndamukong Suh in the middle there, what's an offensive line going to do? And the offensive line of the New England Patriots is fine, but they're not the best in the league. So what are they going to do? Tom Brady's going to be on the ground. So they don't care. They don't care that they're playing against Tom Brady as opposed to that scrub out there, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Let's move up in our rankings, 15 through 11. From 15 up, we got Colin Kaepernick at 15, Alex Smith at 14. We're going to get to that one because that was a little bit of a discussion between me and you. Matthew Stafford at 13, Matt Ryan at 12, and our I want to say our first Super Bowl winner, Joe Flacco, at 11.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We finally see our first ring sighting on the rankings.
So we have to get into the important debate. Colin Kaepernick versus Alex Smith. This was honestly kind of tough.
Well, I mean, the big thing was over their careers, they have played together.
The body of work is tough here.
Here is my biggest complaint against Alex Smith. He can't score 2 wide receivers.
I'm surprised that's your biggest complaint.
Biggest complaint. Cannot score with his wide receiver.
The biggest knock I have on Alex Smith goes to the body of work of you had an abysmal 7 years.
Kaepernick's also been to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Probably should have won a Super Bowl if we're talking to if Dave was
if you're talking to me, he probably should have won that one.
If you and Dave used to be on the onside kick, say that there should have been some weird penalty that I didn't see.
You mean either one of the pass interference calls?
No pass interference.
On the goal line? There was 2 of them. And
no
the
pass
holding.
interference.
Actually, I think it was a jump or whatever. I don't know. But it's getting a little far away from me at this point. But the 7 years of abysmal San Francisco 49er Alex Smith era, that's hard for me to ignore when I look at the body of work, especially compared to Colin Kaepernick, who comes in.
You can't just say with Alex Smith, you can't just say, yep, you know what? You're at the Chiefs. Ignore what you did with the Niners.
Exactly. And it's not even like you can just be like, it started at Jim Harbaugh. Because no, that's not how it works. Because he had that one Jim Harbaugh season where he went to the NFC Championship game, lost to the Packers. But, and we all, of course, remember what unfortunately happened after that. But, that's hard. But Alex Smith, when you start looking at numbers, and you specifically, Ricky, were looking at the QBRs, basically Colin Kaepernick goes above Alex Smith, and then starts dropping off. But he goes high above Alex Smith.
Whereas Alex Smith is consistently bad.
Yeah, not consistently bad.
Average.
Then consistently average. Yeah. Started bad, then goes consistently average. So I think when it comes down to it, I like the reliability of Alex Smith as opposed to the, hey, he might be really good this game. He might be real bad that
And I'm just going to tell the listeners right now, what we have Smith at 14, Cap at 15, that's all Mark. I'm flipping these guys because Kaepernick not only can score with his wide receivers, 2, what did we say about Cam Newton? Why is he above Andy Dalton?
He's the better talent.
Athlete.
Well, Kaepernick can Andy Dalton hasn't won a playoff game.
Kaepernick can move in the pocket, too. He's a runner, too. And, I mean, Alex Smith is a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. Probably should be a top 15 quarterback.
But you want him to stay in the pocket.
I want him to be 15.
Yeah, you don't want him to.
I want Alex Smith stay where he belongs at 15. Kaepernick can move up.
I just think part of it is a little bit of when you look at this, are you just purely ranking quarterbacks? Are you looking at it as if I can't get number 1, I want number 2 to start for my team. If I can't get number 2, I want number 3 to start. How are we looking at it? And I think for me, I would rather not have Colin Kaepernick start for my team. I would rather have Alex Smith start for my team. Alex Smith only threw 6 interceptions last year. That is, when you get single digits of interception, that is impressive. He's a game manager. You know what you get. With Colin Kaepernick, I'm not sure what I get.
Can I throw out a question? But to do this, I have to reveal who number 10 is.
Okay.
So at number 10, we have Phillip Rivers.
Yes.
And from 13 to 10, we have Stafford, Ryan, Flacco, and Rivers. I want you to give me your best case for, if you had to pick one of those guys, Stafford, Ryan, or Flacco, who's the one where if you're a listener to the podcast and you're thinking, no, that guy should be above Rivers. Because I'm looking at our top 10, and Phillip Rivers is the only one where it's like you could go, nope, Flacco should be there. Nah, I think Stafford should be there. It's that 10th spot is a little bit of a shift.
I can't put Matthew Stafford above Phillip Rivers. They're pretty even, to be honest, but I give more credit, I think, to Matthew Stafford having Megatron than I do to...
And Golden Tate now.
And Golden Tate's done fine. Than I do to... And, of course, he had Ndamukong Suh out there.
Phillip Rivers didn't have a consistent running back.
Yeah, there's really not as much consistency around Phillip Rivers, so I think he has to do a little bit more than he should be asked to do.
There's only one guy I feel like... If you're listening to the podcast, you are going, guys, this guy has, yeah, he has to be above Phillip Rivers.
He's got a ring.
Yeah, and to me, this is the case where it's like that. It's not all created equal. Phillip Rivers probably could have a ring too, if it wasn't for Tom Brady. How many times did the Chargers, or I'm going to say Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, how many times did Phillip Rivers meet both of these guys and he just couldn't do it alone?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Definitely.
Joe Flacco, I'm sorry, he did do a little bit. I'm not discrediting him for the Super Bowls, but that one Super Bowl against the 49ers, come on, it was Ray's last ride. They were going to win because of Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
Ray Lewis said to God, hey, man, I need you to help me out. Put his hands together, went Shazam, and won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's how it works,
And
right?
we all know that Ray Rice talks to God, or not Ray Rice, Ray Lewis talks to God on a regular basis.
Puts his hands together.
He talks about it all the time.
He goes, I am Kazam, boom, Super Bowl.
Yeah, Joe Flacco, I mean, this also goes into the discussion of how important is a Super Bowl ring to you, a Super Bowl win. How important is that to you? And how many, does 2 Super Bowl rings automatically make you a better quarterback? Ricky wanted to say yes. We'll get to that later, that 2 Super Bowl rings equals better quarterback than 1 Super Bowl ring. Like I said, we'll get there. But for me, Joe Flacco's very average quarterback, much like Phillip Rivers is, much like Matthew Stafford is. He just had the better team, is what it comes down to. And he wasn't asked to do more than he has to. Like Phillip Rivers is constantly asked to do more than he has to. Could you switch these around? I wouldn't be upset about it. Yeah. I don't think it's a big deal, though. I like to have one guy with a Super Bowl ring outside of the top 10. Because honestly, do Super Bowl rings matter that much?
Flacco's that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only Super Bowl he won was Ray's last ride. And I know you're probably sitting there. If you're a Baltimore Raven fan, you're going, well, Ricky. He was an MVP. He was a Super Bowl MVP. That's got to mean something, right? Usually the quarterback gets it.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless we had like a year where it was this last year where...
The past couple years have actually gone to not quarterbacks.
Yeah, but it was a guy who made a key play where, I mean, Malcolm Butler made the interception that won the
Super Bowl.
game.
Yeah.
So, of course, you're going to give it to him.
And to be fair, the Baltimore Ravens defense did kind of back into the playoffs. They weren't playing all that great, but they turned it around and just had that moment. As soon as basically Ray Lewis says, yeah, I'm done no matter what. Everybody says, nope, we're winning it. So that was pretty important there. For the rest of this, though, I don't think there's anything else that's too egregious or too debatable. Did you want to put Matthew Stafford a little lower?
No, I was wrong. Malcolm Butler did not win the Super Bowl. I thought about that. I thought that he won the Super Bowl MVP because he got the car. But now I remember Brady won the MVP.
Gave him the car.
Gave Butler the car. We'll go last 5 Super Bowl MVPs. Tom Brady, quarterback. Malcolm Smith, linebacker. Joe Flacco, quarterback. Eli Manning, quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, quarterback. 6, Drew Brees, quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. You get one defensive player in there, and that's it.
And I mean, the only 2 in the top 10 that I'm seeing is Hines Ward, Santonio Holmes, and Malcolm Smith. 3 out of the last 10 Super Bowl MVPs have been non-quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So that's where that argument goes.
I mean, it's just easier for a quarterback. It just is, and that's really what it comes down to. I mean, even when you run the ball in for a touchdown, the quarterback still touches the ball on every touchdown. It's really all it comes down to. I mean, it's just so much easier for them. Are we ready to get into the top 10?
I was going to say, let's go.
All right.
I mean, we got Rivers as number 10, Tony Romo at 9, Russell Wilson at 8, Eli, I'm better than Peyton Manning at 7, and Andrew Luck at 6.
So, all right. First, let's get into this. I think Tony Romo, I don't disagree with where we have him, but I think he does get a little disrespected. He's better than Eli.
I'm replaying a specific play in my head. I believe he was against the Seahawks where was it a field goal or an extra point? And he couldn't handle it. Can you help me out, Mark? Can you help me out?
Here's what I want to help you out with. You're the man who asked. Earlier I was talking about quarterback ratings, and you said all I care about is QBR.
Oh, he's got a great QBR.
The best QBR,
which
actually.
why
the best.
why he should be in the top 10. He's got the best QBR.
I think he gets.
I love QBRs, by the way.
And when we talk about these QBRs that Ricky loves so much, I'm just kind of browsing my way down. It takes me all the way to number 7 to get to Eli Manning with his 70.9.
However, this is the part where we go, Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowl rings over. We're going to get to where he's ranked on our list.
Yeah, I mean,
the guy he beat.
He does get one of them being the fluke. We're going to call it a fluke.
Yeah, the David Tyree. The David Tyree catch.
The other one, they actually did win. They actually won that one. It came down to a Hail Mary that Gronk couldn't handle.
The first one was so great because, I mean, that was the perfect season that ended up not being perfect.
Well, 18-1 is a perfect season.
And Randy Moss got this close to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's close. It's not meant to happen. But yeah, so I don't necessarily agree.
I'm surprised you're
with
not
Eli Manning over Tony Romo.
I am surprised you're not throwing a flashlight on the elephant in the room in this 10 through 6. Look at number 6.
I don't have it in front of me.
Andrew Luck.
Oh, Andrew Luck. Oh, we were going to get to Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck being about.
Well,
I mean,
we have to talk about Russell Wilson too when we talk about Andrew Luck. That's why I was waiting on those two.
But I mean, that's a huge elephant in the room in this. And the reason why, and I was a huge advocate between us to put Luck. And I feel like.
You wanted Luck really high. You wanted like 3.
Andrew Luck's a great quarterback.
He is.
He is one of those quarterbacks where it is arguably should have been in the Super Bowl.
No.
This past year, if the Patriots didn't cheat.
They only scored 1 touchdown.
No, I know.
45-7.
They still didn't score.
The balls deflated did not make that big of a difference.
Arguably,
not arguably. There's no argument to be made.
There are people that believe they could have been in the Super Bowl.
There's people
if the
believe that we didn't go to the goddamn moon.
Just saying, Mark. There's a chance.
There are people who believe that there's a giant spaghetti monster up in the clouds.
And he is a quarterback.
Watching all of us down here on this pitiful earth.
He is a quarterback that's been to some AFC Championship games in his young NFL career.
He's a phenomenal quarterback. But here's the one thing that I kind of have a problem with this debate when it relates to...
Because we're talking about potential.
Well, yeah, but when it also relates to our argument we had with Eli Manning and Tony Romo. Russell Wilson is not as good of a quarterback as Andrew Luck, yet he has a Super Bowl ring and has been to another Super Bowl and almost won it.
Because he had a great defense.
Would have won it if they ran the ball. But... one of those, you say because he has a great defense, and I agree with you.
Russell Wilson did have a great defense.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we've said on this podcast before that outside of the Seattle Seahawks, he would not be as good of a quarterback as he is now. One of those, we already admitted that one of those Super Bowl wins of Eli Manning's was a fluke. The other one came down to a failed Hail Mary. I don't see too much of a distinction here between the non-winning Super Bowl quarterback, Andrew Luck, and Tony Romo, compared to Eli Manning winning 2 and Russell Wilson winning 1. I don't honestly see too big of a difference between those two. Yeah, I just think it's interesting that we have Andrew Luck higher than his respective Russell Wilson, as opposed to Tony Romo below Eli Manning.
You know what? This is not going to help my case, but I'm going to throw it out there anyways.
Yeah, sure.
You know how we talk about Andy Dalton not winning a playoff game?
Yes, we like talking about it.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Andrew Luck has won 2 playoff games, 3 playoff games in his career. However, in the losses that he has suffered, his first playoff game, wild card at Baltimore, only scored 9 points. Yeah. 2013, makes it to the divisional series, defeats Kansas City in the wild card, plays New England in New England, did score 22. They lost 43-22. However, Mark, as you alluded to already, they beat Cincinnati. Andrew Luck comes into Denver and just says, hey, Peyton, step out of the way. I've got a mission. I'm on a mission from God. And then goes into New England, only scores 7 points.
It's interesting. Andrew Luck is huge potential, amazing quarterback. He really is.
And to be honest, debate about that. That Kansas City game from 2013, that was the game where the Chiefs led for the majority of the game, and then it flipped.
Oh, yeah, that was great. That was a fun one to watch. I just think like I said, no debate about Andrew Luck being a great quarterback. I think we have him high on this list because of the potential and everything like that. He definitely deserves to be above like Phillip Rivers and guys like that. I don't necessarily know if you can put him above Russell Wilson, only because Russell Wilson's been more successful, but a lot of that's the team. And unfortunately for Andrew Luck, when it comes down to it, he is really good at putting everything on himself. I mean, the man's thrown 40 touchdowns last season, 16 interceptions, though, shows you that he sometimes does a little too much. He needs more support.
And
he
honestly,
needs a team around him.
For me, the only reason why Wilson's ahead of Romo is that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because the QBR for Romo is impressive.
It sure is.
However, Russell Wilson is a Super Bowl. And Andrew Luck, the reason why I have him at 6 is he's a potential top 5er.
And to be fair,
he's going to win a Super Bowl in his career at some point. He's going to get at least one.
Maybe only one. Maybe the curse of Indianapolis will stay true.
He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He just has that aura around him. Or he could just be like Drew Brees. Wins one, solid quarterback. He could be like Tony Romo. Well, a more elite version of Tony Romo.
I want to say one thing about Andrew Luck and Russell Wilson for this debate. Just to go off the QBR, since we did mention it, Andrew Luck, 63.8. Russell Wilson, 62.4. Fairly close. Not as close as some of these other guys, like a Tony Romo, Aaron Rodgers, where it's 0.1 of a difference, but it's still pretty close.
Let's get into the top 5.
All right.
The top 5.
Top 5.
At number 5.
Yes.
Drew Brees.
Of course.
At number 4, Big Ben. Number 3, and I kind of wanted to fight you on this one, but
you
Mark
tried, and I shut you down.
Mark, being the Bears fan, wanted to put him here. Shame on you, Mark. Aaron Rodgers at 3.
You wanted to put Andrew Luck at number 3.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I would have put Andrew Luck at 3. I would have put him at 3, above Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is a top 5 quarterback.
You also tried to put Eli Manning at number 3. You tried. Yeah. You tried, and I said no.
He beat the number 1 on our list, Tom Brady. There, boom, I said it.
He did.
That means Peyton Manning's number 2. But Eli Manning, his 2 Super Bowl wins are against our number 1. So virtually, Eli, you could be sitting there at home. Well, guys, if he beat Tom twice, and Andrew Luck hasn't beaten Tom once, shouldn't Eli be ahead of him? Well, Brees and Big Ben and A-Rod, shouldn't Eli be at 3? We should have Brady, Manning. Well,
No.
Oh, wait. Peyton can't beat Brady either, so we got Brady, Eli?
Yeah, you can't put Eli up here. Now, to be fair, using that logic, though, Ricky, the Miami Dolphins, the Super Bowl winners of last season.
We're talking playoffs.
We're talking
playoffs.
They beat the Patriots.
We're talking playoffs.
You can't just make that argument.
We're talking playoffs. No, things change in the playoffs, Mark. Teams step it up. Hence why the Ravens
for sure
limped into the playoffs and won a Super Bowl.
I'm just saying that's a stupid argument.
It's not that stupid.
To say that just because he beat the number 1 guy twice,
hey,
teams change.
There are people listening to this podcast that would make that argument, and you're making them feel bad.
My problem.
I'm on your side. I'm on your side,
They
listener.
should feel bad. It's a bad argument. The problem I have with Eli Manning, one other thing I want to say about Eli Manning, I'm going back into the last group, is that Eli Manning is very much what I had against Colin Kaepernick. Boom or bust. He's either going to win you a Super Bowl or you're going to be thinking your head coach is getting fired.
So he's going to be Geno Smith or Tom Brady.
Pretty much. I mean, honestly,
he's going to be
pretty bad
32
or pretty great.
Or number 1.
He's either amazing, wins an MVP, or he's like, get this guy out of town. When are we going to start looking for the next one? The only reason we still got the guy is because he's got Manning in his last name. But okay, when it comes down to this, I gotta address the Aaron Rodgers situation.
But all these top 5ers, solid Super Bowl winners, except for maybe Brees because he's only got 1. But Brees has been consistently good for the Saints.
And when it comes down to it, if you want to look at this as to who would you rather have starting for your team, I would rather have Drew Brees over Big Ben. Just because Big Ben, it's tailed off. I mean, his career, he's still good, but he's not exceptional. And he's probably not going to win any more Super Bowls.
And to be honest, one of Big Ben's Super Bowls was probably rigged The one against Seattle and Detroit.
I mean, some people like to make that conspiracy.
Yeah,
Dave's not here, so,
so
Ricky has to.
I agree with that conspiracy. I agree.
Now, the Aaron Rodgers thing, I do have to, as a Chicago Bears fan, I do have to make a statement here. I strongly was saying Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, so you understand. You play the guy twice a year, at least. For some of us, we play him more than twice a year. He's good.
Didn't he score 8 touchdowns against you last year?
8.5
or 6.5?
No, Ricky, calm yourself down.
He had 6.5, didn't he?
If he had 8, how can you have a half of a touchdown?
No, in one half.
Oh, okay, I was going to say
at halftime he had 6 touchdowns.
If he had 8, he would have broken the record, and I'm pretty sure he didn't break the record.
Well, okay, he was close to the record. I think he had 6 in the first half.
I think it was.
I'm going to double check that.
I feel like it was 5, but you might be right.
Mark's like, please don't.
I feel like it can't be 6. If it's 6, he probably
no, because they
broke the record.
Him.
I don't know. You're going to look it up.
They had, the 55-14 game.
Yeah.
At home against the Bears, where Aaron Rodgers finished with 6 touchdowns. And he had them.
Did he have all of them in the first half?
He had all of them in the first half.
And then...
no. Yeah, he had all of them in the first half, and they went into halftime up 42-0.
And now,
there's Matt
new
Flynn
management
came in
Chicago.
And then Matt Flynn came to town.
Funny how that works out. How you get humiliated by your rival, and then there's new management.
I do love, though, how in the fourth quarter, at the 10:41 mark, Casey Hayward, 82-yard interception return for a touchdown for the Packers. On the next play, the next kickoff, because it says 10:27 is the timestamp, Chris Williams, 101-yard kick return.
Yeah. That's why Mark Trestman brought him in from Canada to do exactly that. And I think he only did it once or twice. But okay, to make my you just basically made my argument
His QBR
for
in
me.
that game 99.8.
You pretty much made my argument for me why Aaron Rodgers is number 3. You can't ignore Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers basically is the only reason that the Packers are good. I'm sorry, Packers fans, your team is not very good. You just have arguably, I would say, I mean, I know we're putting Tom Brady at number 1 and Peyton Manning at number 2, but going into 2015, you have the best quarterback in the NFL on your team.
Put Jordy Nelson on any team without Aaron Rodgers.
And he's not good. He's
Randall
okay.
Cobb.
He's basically nothing. There's a reason why Randall Cobb, even though he could have gotten big money,
look what happened to Greg Jennings when he went to Minnesota.
A joke. And Greg Jennings was better than Randall Cobb, better than whatever his name is. I can't even remember right now because he's a scrub.
Jordy Nelson.
Because he's a scrub. Aaron Rodgers is the best thing. I mean, to be fair, the running game did come together at the right point.
Eddie Lacy?
Not Eddie Lacy, Starks at the right time for that Super Bowl run. But Aaron Rodgers basically won Mike McCarthy his Super Bowl. If we're just going off of who do I want starting for my team, my answer all along has been Aaron Rodgers.
No, mine's Tom Brady.
That's who I want. Tom Brady, he's done. That man's done.
Mine's Tommy Terrific.
Aaron Rodgers still has some Super Bowls in him, I think. And it makes me sad.
It's all about Tommy Terrific, baby.
And the thing, if I want to say this about Peyton Manning, my argument against Peyton Manning, it was hard to make an argument against Peyton Manning. First of all, is playoffs, of course. He's always there, but he always tends to lose.
And he did it with 2 different teams.
Yeah.
Consistently.
Exactly. But, of course, always loses. Besides that one time. I don't remember when that happens. But
well, you did, because there's a video on our YouTube channel where you recognize that there's a game.
I don't remember that. But the thing that I have against Peyton Manning is if you do look at this list as a who do you want starting next year, I don't really want Peyton Manning starting for my team next year.
Because he's almost done.
Yeah, he's basically done. And you can make the same argument for Tom Brady too. But these guys are basically done. I mean, when you look at it...
that means I want Andrew...
Yeah, you get all the way to 5.
It's Andrew Luck. Well, 6.
Actually, honest, I'd probably...
Drew Brees?
I was actually going to say I'd stick with Aaron Rodgers.
No,
Aaron
Rodgers is Andrew 30, Luck, he's younger.
He's
Luck
31,
and Wilson would be my 1-2 for who I want starting my team.
If you are going purely age, but if you're just like, want win now...
They're good quarterbacks,
Aaron
too.
Rodgers
Don't get that twisted, Mark.
Yeah, no. I mean, Andrew Luck, yes. Russell Wilson... We'll see. Depends how good my team is.
Russell Wilson kind of reminds me of Steph Curry before he went MVP mode.
That's a fair assessment.
Good enough to make the playoffs. Won a Super Bowl because he had a team behind him. Plus, Peyton Manning didn't show up to the Super Bowl. Checked out early.
Well, he
said it's too cold in New York.
He was running after that ball that went flying past his head. The dreams of a Super Bowl. It's basically just
right to the end zone.
The Lombardi Trophy going right past his head. And he watched it go, and then safety.
The look on his face, too.
God, man, that game, I will still say, only fun for Seattle Seahawks fans or people that hate Peyton Manning. Because otherwise you just sit there like, oh, wow, you guys couldn't even show up?
See, but I was cheering for Seattle, so that's why I liked it.
They scored one touchdown, then Broncos. Only one. It's so sad. But anyways, to put the end of this, Tom Brady gets it because, A, he's got 4 rings. He also just won a Super Bowl.
Could almost have 6 if it wasn't for Eli.
Well, that is his
If
kryptonite.
it wasn't for his kryptonite, he would have 6.
And he was close both times. Very close to winning those 2. Really, I mean, he was just 1 score away from winning them.
And to be honest, if it wasn't for Peyton Manning a little bit earlier in Tom's career, Tom could have been to more Super Bowls.
Probably.
Because there were times in like AFC championships and or AFC divisional games where Peyton Manning did show up. Tommy did beat Peyton more out of the times, but there were a few times where Peyton Manning said, no, boy, this is mine, and I'm going to win. But that is going to do it this week for the Onside Kick. I want you to tell me down below in the comment section, give me your top 5. Who are your top 5 starting quarterbacks in the NFL right now? Like I said, give me that down below in the comment section. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you loved it, hit the subscribe button so you stay intact with everything that me and Mark are doing here on Most Valuable Podcast. I want to thank everybody for checking out our podcast. Go check out our other videos on our YouTube, other podcasts, the PTP Primetime Podcast with me and Brandon Swanson talking about college sports. Me and Mark doing a graphic conversation about graphic novels. That's on our SoundCloud. Go check that stuff out. And as always, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod for more great podcasts.